just pulling these into Photoshop so I can basically snatch his eyes off of one. And okay, so here's the two photos. If you look on the top left, there's these two tabs here. So that was the one that I liked his eyes, but her eyes were looking slightly off camera. I think her dad was behind me making them laugh. And this one, her eyes are looking directly at me. So even though it's so slight, it kind of like, it looks like she's looking off over my head, not really engaging with the camera. So, but his eyes are a little too squinty here. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take his eyes off of this shot, and I'm going to add them to this shot. Okay, so here's what I do. See this little lasso tool up here on the left? Grab the lasso tool, and you're just going to take the eyes that you want and trace around them. I like to take the eyebrows. I draw like some goggles around him, just like this. Like a quick little trace around. Now here's a little trick. So you have these little goggles. That's what I'm going to copy and paste over to the other image. I go up to my selection up here, selection menu or select menu, and I go to modify and feather. Now this kind of feathers the edges of my selection so it blends easier, so you don't have a hard line that you have to match up perfectly. So feather radius on, this is like a 24 megapixel file. I think a feather radius of like 5 is actually perfect. And then I'm going to hit V as in Victor. That gives me the move tool, and see when you roll over the goggles, this little selection here, you see the scissors. So that means you're going to basically cut and drag. Then you just drag it right over here, and you don't really see, you just see the mouse go over to the other image, but when you let go, it actually puts it over there. And you see the edge is nice and soft if you look. A little soft edge there. And now I just have to, and what's cool about Photoshop is it kind of snaps into place sometimes. Sometimes it's not perfect, but so how do you know if it's lined up perfectly? I like to go here to this image, make sure I'm on that image selection, and then I go to my layers down here on the right, the bottom right, and see this layer right here. So that created a new layer when I dragged it over, so I can turn it on and off. Okay, now you see that it moves when you turn it on and off. What's interesting too is his eyes looked a little blurry in the other shot, so this kind of sharpens up his eyes. So I obviously need to move this, and it's not only do I need to move it, it needs to tilt a little bit. So first what I'm going to do is move it down. I'm just going to use the arrow keys, and you see that I'm going to kind of nudge it down a little bit. And you see in the history it says nudge. So I'm going to turn that off. So it's almost in the right spot. It just needs to be kind of tilted. The left side needs to come down a bit. So Command T gives you your free transform tool. You can also get to it by like edit, free transform, Command T. Here it is here. And then if you just hold the mouse to the left side of it, you see that little like arrows there? That means you can rotate it. So I can just kind of like, see, I can kind of rotate it around. So I'm going to hit Command Z just to get it straight again. So because I just wanted to come down just a hair, and that might have been too far. Command Z just to undo, and then okay, then I can kind of turn that on and off. So it looks like it needs to, it looks like the angle is correct. It just needs to come down to the left just a hair. So I'm going to hit V again to move, and use the arrows just to nudge it down. And I just keep doing that. Another little trick you can do is you can change the opacity of this layer. Just click on the layer, and then over here on opacity, if you look on the right side of the screen, see it says 100%. You can drag this little slider and see how you can kind of see through it. You can even just click on the opacity here and just drag it the percentage. It's a little shortcut, another little Photoshop tip for you. So change opacity, maybe go to like, you know, like 40%. And then I'm gonna like zoom in, just Option Command plus will zoom in so you can kind of plus and minus zooms in and out incrementally, like 10% or something. Okay, so I'm gonna turn on and off this layer again, and now I can kind of see through it, and I can kind of move it around until it lines up. Now I can see when it gets sharp again, it's not blurry. Now I'm using the arrow key with the V as in Victor move tool. So you hit V and then use the arrows to kind of just make, you can see I'm moving it around, and you can see when it gets blurry, I'm off. And then, yeah, so it looks pretty good. The angles look good and everything. Now if I go back to 100% opacity, this sucker should just blend in perfectly. And then I turn this on and off. There he is. He's not squinting quite as much. And you don't really, I mean, it's super quick and easy. So there you have it. There's your image, before and after, squinting. Here, I'll zoom in again. So here he is, squinting, and a nice smile. What you think? Let me know what you think about that.